Hello again. Want to go over Antigone Study Guide 2 with you guys? So grab that, maybe grab your copy of the play, and let's get the corrected answers down. I will try to direct you again, as I did before, to the page numbers. And so let's get started. All right, in question 1, we're told that Coryphaeus points out that Haman is Creon's last remaining son. And the question is, what happened to the other son? In the beginning of this section on page 46, it's implied that the other son died somehow. We are told that Creon had sons plural on page 65, and then on page 71, we're told that his other son died a hero's death. So that's really the correct answer. The other son, Megarius, died a hero's death. Now, question 2. Creon seems to think that Antigone is alone in her rebellion. But from what the reader has seen, is this true? And not really. Creon's son, Haman, comes in and says he's hearing things. This starts around page 48. He says he's hearing things, that Antigone is innocent, that Antigone is noble. And then on page 50, he actually says the whole nation denies that she is guilty. So it's almost like the whole nation, even though she was the one that acted and covered Polynices' body, the whole nation is standing with her. And if you remember from the last study guide, she says that the chorus is being quiet just so Creon would think that they agreed with him. Now, in question 3, Haman is recognizing his youth, and he's trying to talk to his father and make an appeal to his father, and it's kind of instructive, and that goes along with I think the junior-senior question about how to talk to parents when we disagree with them, or if we're ever allowed to voice our opinion if it's contrary to theirs, or even to correct parents. Okay, so question 3, for these particular lines, he suggests that his father get a second opinion, and that's on page 48. Goes on in question 4 to ask us to trace Haman's argument against Creon, how he approaches the subject, how he tries to appeal to his father. And basically, he starts by saying that he has received people's opinions. He's heard people's opinions about the situation. He tells his father he wants what's best for him. And he says it's no dishonor to learn. And he uses an example from nature. And then he actually says, not only is it no dishonor to learn something new, but it is honorable to continue learning. And it actually reminded me of Proverbs 1:5. Paraphrase of that Proverbs is, a wise man receives counsel and increases in understanding, or increases in wisdom. Now, Haman goes on page 50 and 51 to say that he is concerned about his father. He's concerned that his father's actions are upsetting the gods. So there's a lot there in question 4. Now, question 5. How does Creon decide to punish Antigone in these particular lines? And then how is it ironic? On page 52, he's going to put her in a cave. And the irony is he caved to her. You see that? He caved in. He gave in. He's not killing her. He's putting her in a cave and kind of trying to see nature take its course. Maybe she'll starve to death or something. And his motivation for that is for her to learn a lesson. Like that punishment will teach her a lesson. Now, question 6, does she regret what she has done? I think you could make a case for this either way. Yes, because she talks about how she's not going to have a wedding. She's going to be childless. But then no, on page 56, she says she was right. She continues to maintain that she was right to bury the body. Now she compares herself to Niobe What literary term is that, guys? When there is a reference to an outside source to bring meaning into what you're reading now. Remember that literary term? It's called allusion, Allusion. So this is a literary allusion to Niobe. And so what's the similarity? Both of these women went to death alone. They went to death kind of alive. So they're kind of marching to death. And then Niobe lost. She had grief of losing children. Antigone has a grief of never having children. And I don't know if you looked this up, but Niobe was turned to stone over the grief of losing her children. So these questions are around the answers are around page 53 to 55. Now, question 8. According to the chorus, what's the cause of all these terrible events? And the chorus on page 54 says, it is due to ancestral failings. And again, this is why you have to know the research, or we did the research on Oedipus and that background there. Okay, question 9. Why does the blind prophet blame Creon for the gods rejecting our prayers? And the blind prophet is Tiresias, and he says that Creon has made an error. This is on page 60. And he says specifically, it is you and your principles. So he's specifically pegging it on Creon, saying you and your principles are what is causing this whole problem and why the gods are rejecting us. All right. To that, what does Creon accuse Tiresias of? This is question 10. He accuses him on page 61 of wanting money and selling him out. All right, the next question on question 10. Why does he eventually give in to the prophecy? So why does Creon eventually agree to the prophecy? Does he submit because he fears for his own fate or for other reasons? On 64, it's clear that he does not want to fight fate. He knows he will lose. On page 62, talks about he's afraid of losing his only son that's left. And then on page 63, he is afraid of losing the kingdom. So, question 11. What does Creon ironically accuse Tiresias of? And this is on page 62. He accuses him of not caring about right or wrong. Question 12. Creon claims he cannot be bought. Is this true or not? Well, he's not getting any money, but in one sense, he is being bought by what is important to him. He's trying to save or hold on to what is important to him. Question 13. When Creon asks Coryphaeus what to do, how does the leader of the chorus answer? And you were supposed to record the actions, the order of the actions he was supposed to do versus the order of the actions that he actually did. All right, so on 63, he was told to release the girl from the cave, release Antigone first, and then build the tomb for the body. But yet on pages 67 and 68, we see Creon burying Polynices and taking, making that pyre in that big fire. And then on page 69, he goes to the tomb of Antigone. All right, question 14. Why does the chorus call upon Dionysus to heal us? And does this seem to be the correct God to call on for such things? On page 64, we're told she is called on because Thebes was the one who started the worship of her. In that way, could it be that this is the correct God to call on? But I don't think so. That's really, you could kind of, it depends on how you argue that case. Now, what is Creon's moment of tragic recognition or insight? Anagnorisis, okay? This is when he realizes he is wrong. And he actually says some very strong statements condemning himself for this. On page 70, he says, I have learned. He actually says, I have learned. He realizes he's wrong. He's saying, I have learned. And this is kind of after the fact, right? On page 71, he says he is to blame. He actually says what has transpired is no one else's fault. And then the last question on this study guide, who is left of the royal family and how is this ironic? And nobody's left of the royal family. And the irony is Creon was trying to save the state. He was trying to save the royal family, yet what Tiresias said would happen has actually happened. He lost his wife, he lost his son, he lost the kingdom. All right, I hope that helps you guys. I do hope to go through the play in subsequent videos. You're obviously not having an assessment presently on the play. You're turning in your projects on Tuesday. But I am thinking long term. I am thinking you need to know or make sure you know the content. And I'm actually thinking that this would be great for the quotation questions for assessment. Remember those where I give you the quotation and you say who's talking, who's being spoken to, the meaning of any underlined word or phrases, and then you give me the content, which is you put that quotation back into the story to discuss the significance of that quotation, to characterization or to plot or to theme. And so I want to hit some highlights with you about that, hopefully in future videos. Okay, again, get in touch if you need to. If not, I'll see you next time.